Today, I'd like to demonstrate the VAT form overview and VAT summary sections of the ARCO compliance solution. With the ARCO compliance solution, we're using real-time continuous data to build VAT returns and EC sales lists, as well as other forms of declarations as the month progresses, giving our customers more time to make corrections rather than waiting until the end of the month and only having a very short time between then making corrections and filing their VAT returns. So as the month goes on, these pre-filled VAT forms are being created and any compliance checks are being identified. As you can see on the screen here, we've landed on a VAT form for Germany. And as I mentioned, all of these transactions that are created during the month are building the values in this VAT form. And I'll show you exactly how the boxes are filled with the correct information as the month goes on. But as we can see on the top toolbar here, we've got information about the company name, the company code, etc., what reporting country we're in, and the declaration type we're dealing with, which in this case is a periodic VAT return. We can also see the current VAT position. So are we in a repayable or a payable position? It's good to be able to know exactly what sort of situation we're in when filing the VAT returns, because maybe it'll be obvious that there's an issue if we are suddenly in a big repayable position when usually we would be the opposite. You can see the task status of this return, whether it's in preparation, ready for filing, ready for validation. And then whether the VAT form status is up to date or some changes have been made in compliance where we need to then refresh this VAT form in order to make sure we're seeing the up-to-date picture. The actual VAT return form itself mirrors exactly what a German VAT form looks like. You can see here all of the different boxes that are required for a German VAT return, and everything has been filled here with the values automatically. So importantly, we have to talk about how are those forms being filled. And what we use within the ARCO solution is ARCO VAT code and transaction types. So all of these transaction types are filled based on tax codes within your SAP system. So if you have a tax code related to EC sales of goods, for example, we would map that to this transaction type, making sure that every time a transaction related to EC sales rolls up into this transaction type and therefore fills the correct part of the VAT return. So if we drill down into that EC sales for goods, you can see here all of the transactions that have been considered when making up this total value for EC sales of goods, which then populates the box on the VAT form. But we can also use filters here to see more information about those transactions. One that's very important is the internal tax code. So this is our SAP tax code. Once I apply that filter, you can see here that in SAP, my tax code for EC sales is D9, and therefore that's mapped to our ARCO tax code for EC sales. We could have multiple tax codes mapped to one ARCO tax code here. So if we go, for example, to domestic sales, we can see here when we put on the filter for the internal tax code and apply that filter, we've got different tax codes here, D2 and D1. That's because there is two different tax codes required for reporting here, 19% and 7%, but both of these tax codes roll up into the same box on the VAT form. So therefore, they both have to match the same ARCO transaction type or tax code. If we want to see all of the information about these transactions, you can download a report that shows all of those. You can see here a CSV file is created automatically. We can open that file here. This gives us an opportunity to look at this data in Excel. So again, if any manipulation of data needs to be done or you need some further information from an audit point of view, everything you need from your SAP system is here. As these transactions are created, as I mentioned earlier, on a continuous basis, they're being checked for compliance. So only compliant transactions will appear here to form part of the VAT form. And if you want to add documents that are not in SAP, for example, you can do that through this process here where you can add different types of transactions and map those to your ARCO tax code or transaction type. You can also do that with a bulk upload if you have a number of transactions that you need to add to a certain VAT form. So once that's done, you can see in the VAT form, those boxes are filled correctly with all of the information coming from your SAP system. This is being done on a continuous basis. So when you start to review this VAT return form, you will already have the pre-filled VAT form, and also the compliance checks will have been done as part of the continuous assessment of transactions coming from your SAP system, which is really the unique selling point here. So if you'd like a full demonstration on how that all works or some more information about the VAT form and the summary and those ARCO tax codes and how they work, please visit the website meridianglobalservices.com. Thank you for listening today.